Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I'm here to talk about Victor Hugo Silva versus Heili Alateng. My pick, I guess, is Heili Alateng winning a decision, but my heart isn't into it because I just haven't seen enough footage of Victor Hugo Silva. I haven't seen one of his losses, even though all four of them take place over 10 years ago, and the last one was an injury. But I still wish I would have seen them because I know he was finished once by strikes and once by submission. And even his wins, I haven't seen enough of. I mean, I've seen enough of them to know he's a dynamic fighter and a versatile guy and better on the ground than he is on the feet, although he's dangerous everywhere. And his nickname is Striker. But still, I haven't seen enough footage. And it doesn't help that there's a Victor Hugo Silva. It seems like in every fucking combat sport that there is, there's a jiu-jitsu guy and a Muay Thai guy, probably even a fucking Sambo guy named Victor Hugo Silva from Russia. But I did sift through all the videos and found whatever footage I can find, and I'm excited to see him. I may not have the firmest grasp on him altogether, but I have enough of a grasp to be very excited to see this guy because he's a potent finisher. 17 finishes in his 24 wins, 10 via submission, 7 via knockout. 2 of those knockouts are injuries, but he's still very dangerous on the feet. And on the ground, we've seen leg locks lately. He won by knee bar pretty deep into the fight on the Contender Series against the guy Kant or whatever. And then before that, he won with a heel hook in 25 seconds. And he's also got another 1 or 2 heel hooks or leg locks or whatever. That's just exciting to me. A guy that's winning with a knee bar deep into the fight, even at the Contender Series level. I want to see what he has at the UFC level. But going for leg locks and stuff like that could cost you, obviously, with a higher level fighters and athletes. So maybe you might want to stay away from that moving forward. But he's got a lot going on. I think if Heili Alateng takes him to the ground, which is something that Heili Alateng's done in the past, and it might be his course to victory here. But I think he's very dangerous, Victor Hugo Silva. He could make Heili Alateng pay. No one submitted Heili Alateng since over 10 years ago, but this guy is very dangerous. And sometimes leg lock defense is lacking compared to the overall submission defense of a fighter. But I'm picking Heili Alateng because despite him having been finished 4 times, I believe, all 4 of them, or 3 of them, are over 10 years ago. And I've seen one of them where he was TKO'd on the ground by this guy, Dennis, I think. And he wasn't knocked out or whatever. He was just kind of overwhelmed in the end. And then the one loss that happened within the last 10 years in which he was finished was to Kai Asakura, who's the rising champion, a fucking killer. And he's got knees from hell. And that's what took out Heili Alateng, a flying knee. And he was knocked out in 25 seconds. But that's a forgivable loss, and that is the only time I believe that he's been separated from his senses. So I consider him pretty healthy, and I've seen him at the UFC level show he could take his beatings, especially against Casey Kenny and against Chris Gutierrez in his most recent loss and fight. He was a step and a half behind, just getting chopped up, and he never looked unhealthy, but he didn't really fight as hard as you might want him to if you bet on him, which I did not. But here I'm picking him to win because I've seen him take down Chad Anheliger, I guess. He used wrestling there and ripped him to the mat. And I think against a new dynamic newcomer like Victor Hugo Silva, who's dynamic in a lot of different ways, if he can take him down and have that be a thing throughout the whole fight and get out of round 1 while doing so, he should win the fight. I just think it'll be a classic case of the veterans slowing down the newcomer. But this guy, Victor Hugo Silva's got a wealth of experience. He's been deep. He's been, I think he's been 5 rounds. And maybe I'm wrong on that. I haven't seen it anyway. But he's passed every test that's come his way in the last 10 years. So even though I'm picking against him, I'm not betting on this at all. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.